Hey everybody, it's Dr. V. Welcome back to my channel. I love you all. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate your love and support and comments and shares and all of that stuff. Yeah, you guys are just the best. So I'm doing your weekly twin flame reading for August, today is August 13th, through this Sunday, which is what, like the 19th? And yeah, so going to be interesting to see what's going on this week. If you'd like to book a private reading, all the information on how to do that is in the description box below. I will have some limited availability next week because it's my birthday and I've got some friends coming to town. It's going to be fun. So anyway, Spirit, please use me as a clear channel for communication. May the messages that come through be in the highest good of all those concerned. I call upon my guides, ancestors, counsel, higher wisdom, ascended masters, and divine love to guide these messages. Draw a sacred circle around this space, setting my ego to the outside, so that only the messages that come through, the only messages that will come through will be in the highest good. All right. So, just a little bit of Palo Santo to get started. All right, let's see what's going on this week. What is the current situation for twin flames? Oh, look at that. 10 of Cups. Bow, chicka, wow, wow. Oh, shit. But then we got the Devil in reverse. All right. And we've got the Knight of Swords. All right, some interesting energies here. So we've got the 10 of Cups. That's like the happy family. That's like, you know, abundance and love, and everything is, you know, like that song from the, what's that movie? The Lego movie. Everything is awesome. Like everything is great. Things are looking good. People are feeling abundant. People are feeling like things are finally happening. Things are working out. This is celebrations, family, peace, prosperity, feeling happy and joyful about the future. It's like really everything is kind of, you know, looking good right now. So it's interesting. And this is for those of you that aren't in connection or in communication, or those of us, that's awesome. It's like everything's feeling good right now for a lot of people. And then we have this Devil in reverse card. This Devil in reverse, in the upright, the Devil is like bondage, it's addictions, it's struggle, it's trying to overcome. It's in that, really being in that space of negative beliefs or belief systems, that kind of energy. In reverse is more positive than in the upright. This is someone or something breaking through those addictions, those things that have held you back, those things that have limited you before. This is also saying like, be careful, okay? So if there's anything going on, just be careful. Don't make any big decisions right now. Really, if things are going on, big energies, just sit with things. Don't make any huge decisions right now. Feels like bad and some bad relationships. So if you're in a karmic situation that's been negative, or your counterpart has been in a negative karmic situation, that stuff is coming to an end. This could be really somebody who kind of breaks the tie, breaks the hold of ego. This is somebody, an energy of breaking through that ego, breaking through that that space of materialism and everything being about how things look, and moving more to a spiritual space. So this is both of these cards are very positive energies. Then we've got the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is an interesting energy. So this is about someone who is really like pure of heart, someone who is like, what is it, like Lancelot, or one of the Knights at the Round Table, the guy that pulled the, you know, Excalibur sword out. You have to have a pure heart to be able to do that. So this is someone who has a really pure heart, someone who's very independent, who has like courage, easy for me to say. Is courageous, has boldness, and is really somebody who has a strong sense of integrity. I told you all that's one of I have a coffee cup that says integrity is my love language. That's one of the things, my own personal thing. Like I love people who stand in integrity. So this is a person who is stepping up into integrity. Someone who is really going toward their goals, really kind of balls to the wall kind of energy, and someone who stands up for what's right. So this is a justice seeking card. This is something an energy of really looking toward justice. And it could, I mean, it really could be just that things in the past have not felt just. Things have been out of balance. Things maybe have not been great. And now it's the energy is shifting, and people are like, okay, it's time to break through all of these like negative behaviors, these ego-based things, and move into a space of standing up for what's right and doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. So, let's see. I want to look at, what question do I want to ask right now? What is ahead for this week? So we've got, oh, and by the way, this is the Spellcaster's Tarot. So we've got the Hermit, that's the 9. We've got the Queen of Swords. Ooh, the Queen of No Fucks Given. And we've got Death in reverse. Okay, so we've got the Hermit. The Hermit is, I'm not sure when we're coming on Virgo season. That's, obviously since my birthday is coming up, it's like Virgo season is just around the corner. So we've got this really powerful Virgo energy that's showing up already in the Hermit. The Hermit is someone who goes within and kind of figures out their shit in their own space, in their own mind. This is not someone who, this is a person who, like me, like I will often when I'm faced with something, I will consult with trusted people. I'll consult with people that I really value their opinions and their perspectives, because I value consultation. I don't necessarily feel like I have to do everything on my own. So that's the space that I go into, but I definitely go into hermit mode when I need to make big decisions. So it feels like what's ahead for this connection right now is that people are going to be in this space of being in that hermit, spiritual seeking. This is people who may be really in a space of, what just came up for me is like sometimes people when they are in hermit mode will actually go into like fasting. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a religious practice where like people on Ramadan, it's a fast from sunrise to sunset. There are other religious groups and other spiritual pursuits that encourage fasting, which is basically like not eating food, just drinking water for a specific period of time for spirituality, for spiritual insight. And so that could, I get that there could be some people who are going into that space where it's really like entering into a space of quiet prayer, repose, meditation, really being connecting with spirit in a much deeper way. So that's a really beautiful energy. Really getting into a space of freedom, which is beautiful, along with this Devil in Reverse card, because that is about breaking through addictions and whatnot. So we've got the Queen of Swords. Sherry over at the No Fucks Given crew, NFGC Tarot, always calls her the Queen of No Fucks Given, which just makes me laugh. But that's who the Queen of Swords is. The Queen of Swords is like very, very powerful feminine energy. It doesn't have to be just a feminine, okay? Because we both masculines and feminines embody masculine and feminine energies. Masculines can also be queen and embody that Queen of Swords energy. So this is definitely somebody who is very strong in their authority. Okay, so this Queen of Swords energy is somebody who's very strong, their authority. And there's also somebody who will like Cardi B says, quick to cut somebody off, so don't get comfortable. So the Queen of Swords is also somebody who's not here for anybody's shit. The Queen of Swords is very much, when you look at the Knight of Swords, there's a progression here. So there's this Knight of Swords who's like, has the integrity and is willing to take action. And we've got the Queen of Swords where it feels like the action has been taken. So whatever this action that needed to happen, this, standing up for what's right, doing what's right, speaking the truth, whatever that is taken this week. It feels like there are people who will step into that Queen of Swords energy, take the action, making a decision that is like, that needs to happen. There's action, decisions that need to happen, things that need to go forward, that could be painful, but it's not. It's what's acting and what's in the higher good for everybody. This is not someone. The Queen of Swords is not someone who acts selfishly. This is someone who can kind of put their energy, their feelings aside, their personal, step into a more objective standpoint and be like, okay, this is what needs to happen, and this is how it needs to go. And so it's not necessarily that you know, that the Queen of No Fucks Given doesn't have any feelings about the action that needs to be taken. It's that those feelings won't control. Okay, so this is not someone who's going to let their feelings dictate what they need to do. If they know that there's a course that they've been guided to take, they're going to take that course of action, and that's just going to be what it is. Period. So then we have the Death in reverse. So Death, we have a lot. I mean, we have a ton of big energy cards here already, so that's interesting. But Death in reverse is about a transformation that is needed, but it's not being attempted. It's somebody who's feeling maybe like feeling down, maybe somebody who feels like, you know, forsaken by spirit, by God, like that whatever this decision is could lead to somebody feeling this way, like that spiritually that they feel kind of isolated and alone. It could be that they just have been resisting letting this cycle come to an end. A lot of people do that. It's totally, I mean, it's normal. Don't get me wrong. This is normal. People don't, it's hard to let go of things that you want to hold on to. So it feels like there's some resistance to releasing this cycle, but I feel like this Queen of Swords energy is going to really end that. It's going to be like the Queen of Swords is coming in, like, you know, just literally like swinging the sword and being like, enough is enough. Like this, whatever has been going on has been lingering long enough, and it's time for this to come to an end. And I'm going to go ahead and, you know, swing this sword and deal with what needs to be dealt with. So it's really, really powerful energies. It feels like there's a lot of there's the potential for really significant transformation this week if people will follow their intuitive guidance that Spirit's trying to give. So where is this connection headed this week? I was going to call it a relationship, but it's not really. I don't really call twin flame divine connections relationships as much as connections, because anyway. So we've got the Eight of Swords, the Eight of Wands. We've got the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So we've got some definite repetitive eights here. Let me scoot this back so you can see. So the Eight of Swords in the upright is about like a mental prison. It's someone who's trapped in a mental prison. It's somebody who is feeling caught up in something. And it's kind of, I mean, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny to me because it's like in the traditional tarot, it's like a female character who's got swords all around her and is bound up, just like this person, but the bindings are really loose. And I'm like, you know, if you just shook a little bit, like wiggled around, you'd get free. So this Eight of Swords in reverse is somebody who finally is realizing that the mental prison that they've been in for so long is really just a mental prison. It's that energy of recognizing, like what I was just saying, like you can wiggle and get free. You can, if you struggle enough, if you push back enough, push against the bindings that are holding you, you can set yourself free. So what's ahead for this connection this week is that people, like where this partnership is going, is that people are really realizing you get this Devil in reverse. We've got the Eight of Swords in reverse. These are both cards about people getting free from bondage. This is whatever has been tying them up, whatever has been making people feel bound, whether it is physical addictions, behavior addictions, codependence, a relationship or a connection that is not serving you, that you've been staying in because it's convenient, not because you're really feeling connected or you feel in love. It's just because it feels like that's what you should be doing, and so that's what you do. It could be that energy. But this is definitely somebody who's turning around. I'm getting this, like turning around to face their demons once and for all, where it's like, look, this has been an ongoing issue. This has been a pattern. This has been something that has limited me for a really long time, and I'm freaking sick of it, and I'm going to deal with it because I want to be free. I want to be out of this prison. I want to walk away from this situation that's keeping me stuck and walk toward freedom. It's fine. Someone finally realizing that they don't have to stay stuck. I mean, I love that. I really do. I love that energy because it's like, I've seen people go through that transformation, that understanding of like, wow, I don't have to be here. I can choose something different. And the power and the beauty that comes with that, it's just amazing. So then we have the Eight of Wands. No, don't forget, whenever there's repetitive numbers, it's important to look. So I'm not an angel number master. I don't have all of them memorized. So if you have some time, check it out, what repetitive 8 means. Because it definitely feels important here. So going back to what I was saying, the Eight of Wands is about quick forward movement. And this is like dynamic forward movement. This is swift progress toward an aim. So it's like somebody finally realizes they don't have to be, somebody or both people finally realize that they don't have to be stuck here. They kind of wiggle free, get free of their, the bondage that they've been in, and then that freedom leads them to take swift action. This is like boom, hopping on your horse like this Knight of Swords and just like riding like the wind. You know, it's like that energy of what's her name, Arwen in the Lord of the Rings, where she's like running, like, you know, taking Frodo into the across, you know, to the river, to get across the river, and she's like riding as hard as she can. It's that energy. This is what this it's like this person is going to realize that the person or the energy of the connection. Okay, let me be clear about that. One or both people are going to realize, like, once this bondage falls off, that they've lost ground, that they've lost some, you know, momentum, and they're going to just take off. It's going to be like really understanding. I really get that this deep understanding of that it's time to move forward, that this sense of spiritual abandonment that they felt was not because they have been abandoned. It's because they turned their back. Okay, that's what I'm getting right now. It's like that poem's Footprints. You know, the one night a man had a dream, and in the dream he was walking with God, and he saw these two sets of footprints, and then his life got difficult. He went through a really dark time, and he was looking, and during that time that he was really suffering, all he saw was his, like, one set of footprints. And so he turns to God. He's like, God, and you know, I walked with you, and we walked together, and then in my most, you know, the darkest, deepest time of my life, you abandoned me. Like, why were there only one set of footprints? And God says, I didn't abandon you, honey. That was, you know, it was then that I carried you. And so it feels like this person has felt, some people, maybe it resonates for you, has felt like, you know, like spirit has forsaken, like God has abandoned them in this situation, and that they feel like, you know, why didn't, you know, where were you? What's going on? And they've been feeling this sense of spiritual desertion. And it's like spirit never abandoned them. I mean, they just couldn't see it. They couldn't see that what was going on because they were stuck in this. If you look at that person with a blindfold, they're not seeing things. They're not seeing things clearly. They feel bound. And once they're free, they're going to start to realize the truth. And this feels like this card could also be about really understanding love. This could also be like really understanding the depth of love that's been present in this connection. It could be that when all of this shit starts to fall away, and this enlightenment starts to happen, and all of these quick transformations that I feel like are coming, these quick insights, that somebody's going to realize, they'll be like, damn, this person really loved me. Like, my counterpart really loved me. They did what they did, or they said what they said, or they whatever happened was really out of a place of deep love. It was out of a place of, I'm not going to sit by and watch you destroy your life with your ego and these limiting beliefs and these like addictions and whatnot. And so I really feel like someone's going to start to understand, or both people are going to start to understand the depth of love in this connection. It's going to be a really, really beautiful energy. And then we have this Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So the Pentacles are all about material things, right? The Knight of Pentacles is like a slow moving energy, really slow. So it's interesting that we've got two knights here. We've got a knight here and a knight here. So, but the Knight of Pentacles in reverse is somebody who is like really feeling. There's some feelings of dis-ease. Even though we've got the Ten of Cups, there's just this feeling of uncertainty. It's like there's still some, you know, troubled waters that are happening. This is someone who I'm really getting that they realize, perhaps there's this understanding that they were sloppy, that they have been sloppy, that they haven't taken steps carefully, they haven't. They were perhaps reckless in the past, and they're trying to figure out how not to be reckless going in the future. Now that they're starting to see things a little more clearly in this dynamic forward movement, it's like they want to just like ride like the wind, but they're recognizing that having done that in the past has caused them some problems. They need to be a little less reckless. They need to be careful and more mindful about going forward. And it could be literally that they just feel frozen, that somebody feels frozen, like they want to take this dynamic forward movement, but they're afraid of the mistakes that they've made in the past. They may not trust their own judgment, and so they're hesitant. This could also be somebody that just literally kind of realizes like they've been sowing bad seed in the wrong field, and they're ready to start making some different decisions. This is somebody, I really get the energy of this pause before taking off with this dynamic energy, this pause of just being like, okay, let me look at this a little more carefully and assess where I am, what I'm doing, where I'm going, so that I don't make the same mistakes of the past. So that's the overall energy. I'm going to move these cards aside. I'm going to look at what it is that the feminine is bringing in. What is the feminine bringing into the connection this week? And this is the Goddess Oracle by Amy Sophia Marashinsky. So what is the feminine bringing in? Wow. Sekhmet. That totally goes along with that Queen of Swords that we got. Sekhmet, anger and rage. And some of the masculines are like, oh shit, not that. But Sekhmet is, you know, as we've talked, you've probably heard me say her name before. She is she's a goddess that has, as you can see, a lion for a head, a lioness as her head. And she is all about the divine, holy, sacred rage. This is, okay, so this is, she's saying that you need, some of us feminines, we need to face our anger. Sekhmet is popping up to say, like, what is it that has happened in the past that we've been angry about, that we haven't acknowledged, that we haven't healed, and that we haven't handled. So it's saying, look, if you are angry with yourself, with your divine counterpart, with God, whatever, about what's gone on, it's okay to feel that. It's okay to acknowledge that and to be in that space. It's like, how do you deal with it? Do you handle your anger? Do you go off in like rages and say and do things that you regret later? Do you just swallow it and say nothing? Do you feel like, oh, you know, nice girls aren't supposed to get angry? Do you feel completely disconnected from your anger and from your rage? Like, what is that going on? And so this is definitely, if you don't handle anger when it shows up, it can morph into rage, which is, you know, far more destructive. But this is saying, look, if you're feeling angry, it's because something has gone on that made you feel angry, that caused that response in you. I'm not saying made you feel angry, because that's that whole, like, nobody can make you feel anything, but people can do things that provoke a certain response. And if, you know, if someone is abusive or takes advantage of you or hurts you, you're gonna, you know, it's a pretty normal response to feel angry about that. So this is saying, like, this week is about facing that anger. It's about facing it and dealing with it and conquering it. I don't even want to say conquer. Conquer is the wrong term. Use it, transmute it. That's the word that I want to use, transmute it. Anger can be very, very beneficial. Rage can be beneficial if it's channeled properly. It's when it gets out of control that it's an issue. It's sort of like fire, right? When you do like when firefighters do a controlled burn where they can burn certain areas because it needs to happen, there's too much accumulation of things, that is good. That fire is beneficial. It's serving a purpose. It's when it is out of control and not managed that it becomes destructive. Anger is the same way. So what are the fears of the feminine? Interesting. Illness and wellness. So the feminine is, this is, again, an interesting energy, because it's like, why would anybody be afraid of wellness? Well, that's a really great question. People do, though. People do get afraid of it, because a lot of times wellness is like being ill. It serves a purpose, right? So this is saying, like, it is time to embrace the dance of illness and wellness. Like, we're not always going to feel great. We're not always going to feel terrible. Take care of yourself. This card is saying, like, the feminine has been, and I get this really clearly, has been on overdrive, heading toward burnout. Okay, this is one of the energies. It's certainly something that I have been contending with, and I've taken some steps back from other commitments in my life, because I was recognizing this dynamic was happening. It's like, take time for yourself, nourish the energy that you have. It's fine to, like, you know, to take some time off and to take a break and to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Otherwise, you're going to get sick. You could drive yourself to illness and get sick, and that's your body's way of saying, like, I've had enough. I used to have this experience like every year around the holidays, and when I was in in undergrad. It stopped when I started graduate school, because I knew how to take care of myself a little bit better. But I worked full time. I went to school full time for my bachelor's degree, which is obviously a lot. So I'd be at work from, getting up for work at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, commuting to the office, being at work from 8 to 5, commuting to the campus, being in class from 5 to 9, getting home at 10. It was just this ridiculous schedule. And so I would always, like, when spring break or like Christmas break would come around, I would end up getting like sick. Obviously, because it was like my body was like, oh my gosh, now I have time to rest, and everything that I haven't been feeling is going to come out now. And so once I recognized the pattern, I was able to interrupt it. But there's a lot of feminines that are bringing that, and that's the fear. The fear is like slowing down and giving yourself permission that to take a step back and to just be okay. All right. So, what are the expectations of the feminine? I love this. Baba Yaga, the wild woman. Oh my God, that's one of my favorite cards ever. Baba Yaga is, if you haven't read the story, seriously look it up. Again, I'm going to recommend reading Women Who Run with the Wolves, because it's one of my favorite books and it talks about this story. But this is definitely just a beautiful energy that comes in. This is the quintessential wild woman. This is the wild woman who just is like, dances to the beat of her own drum, who is just in this space of like, this is who I am. This is who I'm always going to be. It's getting in touch with that wildness, this anger and this rage, because that's part of the wildness. This is about, learning how to live from that deep instinctual gut sense, like living from your belly. It's shake up your life, break things up. What needs, break up old energy. What needs to be moved? What parts of yourself have you disowned? Is it your sensuality, your sexuality, your rage, your anger, speaking the truth? Like, have you adopted this, like, girls are sugar and spice and everything nice, and so you don't let yourself speak your truth when you need to speak your truth? It's time to set yourself free. Set this inner wild woman free. It's like, if you don't bring that wildness into your being, it becomes self-destructive. That's where that addiction and shit that we were talking about comes in. That's when we go into workaholism or any other kind of, addictive kind of behaviors. It's when we don't honor and integrate that peace into our lives and let that peace have a voice, or it's like when we cut any of that wildness off, it can come out in really self-destructive, harming ways. So it's literally learning how to manage your inner wildness in a way that allows you to express it constructively and in a helpful way, instead of in ways that feel self-destructive and negative. Just really beautiful. So let's look at the masculine now. So what is the masculine bringing in? And this is The Gods and Titans by Stacey DeMarco. So what is the masculine bringing to the connection? The energies this week feel awesome, guys. I just have to tell you. So we've got Thoth, wisdom. The masculine is bringing wisdom. I love this. It's such a beautiful energy. So this is about the energy of learning to trust yourself, learning to trust what you know. This is about exercising discernment. This is really, it's just this wisdom. It's absolute divine wisdom, coming into balance with what you know, learning something, seeking wisdom, trusting the source of wisdom that each of us have within, maybe going forward and finding some other pursuit. Now, the shadow side of this connection is someone that is that knowledge, there's the saying, ignorance is bliss, right? And so there's this, the shadow side of becoming wise is that when you know a lot, it's painful. Let's just be real. The more that you know, it's more painful. It's like I was talking with somebody earlier this week about this. It's like, before you know about things like social justice and oppression, it's like life doesn't seem as difficult. When you're aware of it and you see it playing out, it becomes a little bit harder, because you feel the pain of it. And so it feels like the masculine is in this space of gaining wisdom, and it's going to be, there will be some pain. There will be some growing pains in that, because it's the light is going to come on. There's going to be some things about themselves that they're seeing, some things about them, their feminine, about their life, their choices, that wisdom is going to illuminate that could cause them some discomfort. So what are their fears? We've got focus, who is clearly a Viking by his super, super cool hat. I don't really know if he's a Viking, but I think so. Excuse me, I feel like I need to sneeze. Okay. Excuse me. This is energy of focus. And why would the masculine fear focus? Well, because, it's like, sometimes it's easier to take a shotgun approach, right? It's like if you commit to, if you have 100 things in the air, things that are going on, you're like working on this, you're doing that. It's like this lack of focus can give you excuses to not be, to not give your best and to give 100%. Like if you commit 100% to something, then it requires, your effort, and focus requires effort. Focus requires commitment. It feels like a lot of the masculines could be, dabbling in a bunch of things. This could be professionally. It could be leaving the door open to a lot of romantic connections. It could be either one of those or both of those. It's definitely this energy of not wanting to fully commit to anything. And so there's this fear of focusing. There's this fear of, well, if I put all my, eggs in one basket, so to speak, what happens if that handle breaks and all my eggs break? That's kind of a fear. It's also about, getting so focused. People that have tunnel vision. I think I've mentioned this before. Like somebody that you're like, they'll be like, where are the pickles? I put the pickles on this shelf in the refrigerator, and because they expect it to be in that spot, it's like they literally can't see it on a different shelf because their expectation is so focused on that one spot where they think it should be. So there is some energy around that the masculines are a little bit afraid of going into tunnel vision and not being able to see the forest for the trees. So this is definitely an energy that they're avoiding. I get that this space, this energy of being in a space of wanting to avoid the focus, because sometimes they like the chaos. The chaos actually serves a purpose for some people, and it feels like that's what's happening right now. That's a lot of the masculines are just feeling like this chaos is serving them. So, what is it that they are expecting? Interesting. I think this card came out last week. Anubis. Protection. Very, very interesting energy. I think it's interesting that we've got Anubis and Sekhmet, who are both from Egyptian mythology. So it's very interesting mirroring that we've got here. So this protection card, they are expecting that there's a couple of things that they're expecting here. They are expecting, what they really need, and they know this, is that they need to be protected. They're expecting some kind of protection right now. Like the masculines, like I said, this energy of growing in wisdom is not easy. There's some growth. There's some rapid growth that's going to be happening this week. I feel like people are going to be really rising up into higher levels of wisdom, breaking through some old addictions and behaviors and patterns and beliefs, and there's going to be a lot of interesting energy. And so they're going to need protection. It feels like the masculines feel like they need some protection right now. They feel like whatever shift that is going to be happening in their lives, because it feels like it's going to be a big shift for a lot of people, that they're going to be really needing, you know, angels and angelic support and protection to help them. So they expect that. They, like, this is their spiritual self, mind you. It feels like their 3D self. Probably a lot of them don't even know that shit's about to go down. They're kind of just like, you know, living their existence and doing their thing, and spirit's over in the background, like, you know, about to pull the you know, when you played Jenga, I don't know if you ever played that game, but when you play Jenga and it's like you pull the thing and then pull one little block and the whole freaking tower comes tumbling. It's like spirit's over there like pulling this block that's gonna illuminate things. It's gonna, you know, show all of us things. Things are gonna come to light, but it's also gonna, like, you know, cause some shit to fall down. Cause some things, some major shifts. And so their higher self is really expecting some protection there. They're expecting that spirit's gonna protect, that the angels are gonna protect, and that their divine feminines are gonna be really sending lots of prayers and energies of protection. And this is also, this card in the reverse is also about death, okay? So this is the second time that we've drawn a death card about transformation, end of certain relationships, phases of relationships. Things are coming to an end, the fear of the unknown. So this is definitely like the math. I really get the masculine is going to have to face some kind of pretty significant ending. It could be a karmic relationship. It could be the ending of this relationship, the way that the relationship is with their divine feminine right now. Again, I'm not saying that the relationship itself is ending. I'm saying that the way that the relationship is currently being executed could end. It could be, you know, the divine feminine queen of swords them and has to end things the way that they are in order to start a new beginning. There could be that energy, but there's definitely some the divine masculine is expecting, their higher self is expecting some things to change. There's some cycles, there's some things that are going to be shifting, and it feels like this there's some fear around that. There's some fear and some some desire for protection around that, because they understand that. They understand the bigness of this shift. So let me move this aside. And I'm going to jump into some advice from Spirit. So Spirit, what advice do you have for the divine feminine this week, and what advice do you have for the divine masculine this week? Advice for the divine feminine is the Hawk Prince in reverse. Interesting, look, we got an 11 and a 10 here, so there's a lot of alignment. This is The Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron Reed. We have an 11, which is a twin flame signifier as well. So the Hawk Prince in reverse, it says spirit communication and paying attention. So this is saying that you gotta listen, okay? Feminines, if you're watching this and this reading is resonating, it's like Spirit is saying pay attention, because there are warnings that are being sent your way. If you're pushing forward in a situation, in this connection, despite the warnings that you've been getting, it's like if Spirit has warned you and said, okay, it's time to slow down, like take a step back, no need to continue like pushing this thing forward right now. It's like, listen, because there are red flags waving everywhere. There's more red flags right now than there are when the Broncos play the Raiders. Like, there are so many red flags right now. For a lot of us, this is definitely resonant for me as well, that there are red flags. There have been red flags in the past that I've ignored. There are red flags that you've ignored. I mean, if we're being perfectly honest with ourselves, we own that, right? It's like something just isn't right now. And if your gut is telling you that something is off and something isn't right, listen to it. It's totally something that you should be paying attention to. Spirit is trying to give you messages about, for you to pay attention to, because Spirit cares about you and doesn't want you to get hurt by things that you can avoid. So this is definitely just a caution card. Spirit saying don't block out any information that Spirit's trying to get through. Let it come through freely. And for the divine masculine, it's interesting because they got the focus card, and then we've got the arrow master hitting the mark. intention. This is literally about focus. Again, Spirit is saying, masculines, you'll need to focus. Whatever it is, set your intentions, get really clear about it. Shoot for what it is that you want. Go for what you want, but be deliberate, be intentional. Focus your dreams, focus your vision, and allow Spirit to support you in that. But you have to, it's like having that, okay, so it's when you're shooting, if you've never done archery, I have, it's like you can't look at the arrow. The same as like shooting baskets. If you play basketball, you don't look at the ball when you're shooting. You don't look at the arrow when you're shooting. You literally focus on your mark. You focus on what it is, like the spot that you want to hit, and then you let your body do the rest. Like you let your body make the make it happen. Okay, that's the only way I can say it. It's like you focus on your target, you pull your arrow back, your basketball, if that's what you're doing, and you shoot. You don't look at or even bowling, you don't look at you look at where you're aiming, not at the ball. So anyway, the point is that Spirit is telling the masculines, like, you've got to focus on your target, okay? The masculines I feel like a lot of masculines have been like, especially, probably not those of you that are watching this, because those of you that are watching this are a little bit more spiritually, you're on the path. For those that are their feminines are watching this video, and they're the ones that are not quite on the path yet, their focus has been all over the place. Like one of those, water toys that I used to play with when they were little, and they would like have all these little tubes of water that were flying everywhere. It's fun to play with, but not a fun way to live your life. And that's where the masculines have been, lacking focus, lacking discipline, lacking intention, and may even possibly be in that space that they were in last week, or have been in it, where they make a lot of plans, or like they think about things and then don't execute, or they don't execute well because they don't have focus. So Spirit's saying it's time to focus, masculines. It's time to get into that space of really being focused and intentional about what it is that you're trying to create and what you're trying to accomplish in the world, because the world needs it. You wouldn't be having these visions and these dreams if there wasn't a purpose for it. So Spirit's saying, it's really time to focus and get on it. It's time. Yeah, it's just time. Okay, so I'm gonna pull. I wasn't gonna do this, but I feel really led. So, what are Spirit? A message from the Divine Masculine's higher self to the Divine Feminine, please. A message to the from the Divine Masculine's higher self to the Divine Feminine. Okay, and a message for the Divine Masculine. All right, the Divine Feminine had two messages. So the first message from the masculine to the feminine, what their higher self wants you to know, is, I'm thinking of you at this very moment. Your love fills me with light. I love you. What the feminines want the masculines to know: when it comes to matters of the heart, there is no right or wrong. Every choice you make expands your understanding of life and love. And balance. Love is not always about agreeing just for the sake of it. A great relationship is one that both supports and challenges. Awesome. So I hope that this reading was beneficial. Please let me know if you have any questions. Again, if you'd like to book a private reading, I do have some time this week and next week. So go ahead and get on my schedule. I'll talk with you soon. Take care. Bye.